Well, this is the final. Road to Cheltenham will be doing like this because the final one next week will be in a studio and we get to see all of our beautiful faces crystal clear. We'll all be together in the studio for our final wrap up of this year's Road to Cheltenham. And well, Frankie's gone a week too soon. Look at you, all smart and dapper.
Yeah, I thought this was the big one today, the final Road to Cheltenham. So I put my suit on. No, my ascot. A great day today, the Thoroughbred Industry Employee Award. So lots of people that do much better and more important work than we do looking after horses rather than talking about them.
So he's very posh, a posh swanky dude. Joel's at work.
Yeah, I'm at work. I've got the glasses around the neck. I've got the cardigan over the bean stained t-shirts. I've been up since 2:30 this morning. So let's crack on.
Right, okay. Just let you know we are now nominal no bet on all 28 Cheltenham Festival races. So have your bet, and if your horse doesn't run, you will get your money back. Not much to go on this weekend, really. I think one we'll start with Ferny Hollow. He was impressive and back with the band, but Willie Mullins a bit lukewarm about going and taking on his El Fabiolo in the champion chase, Frankie.
Yes, and rightly so for a horse that has had such a sparse career. I know he won a champion bumper, but we only saw him over hurdles once and had about a 300-day break either side of that run over hurdles before then having, his troubles. So he is a very good horse. However, if you take out his long absence and look at his best form over fences, he put Riviere de Tello away by a length or two. That doesn't put him in the kind of standards of Al Fabiolo, in my opinion. And he's a horse that's had his issues and doesn't have long to turn that around before champion. So a satisfactory return for a tricky horse. Will he run? I'd say unlikely. And if he does, is he good enough? He hasn't yet proven it. So I'm not getting excited for Cheltenham. But it was good to see him back. It's always nice to see a horse that's been off the track with talent come back and win a race.
It's fair assessment, Joel.
Yeah, it was a thing of Barley Curly, wasn't it? 791 days off, 17 days to run again. The interview with Willie, I mean, I watch them now and think, you could be lying through your teeth. But, the commentators at the time couldn't be any more impressive. Completely agree. We'll get a Fairy House, I would have thought. We'll probably not go to Aintree. We'll go Fairy House. 17 days turnaround. But as we know, Willie Mullins bingo. But I was really impressed. And like Frankie said, nice to see these horses come back and won it dead well.
Yeah, probably something else in the spring then for Ferny Hollow. Another horse we're not going to see at Cheltenham is Caliph de Burley, despite winning the Adonis at the weekend. I think he's more of a Gold Cup type. May put away, maybe Aintree, may not see him again. But what about the second, Give Me Five? Graham McDowell and Brooks Koepka on this one. It'd be a great story to get the golfing fraternity at Cheltenham. Is he a player in the Fred Winter, Joel?
Well, this weekend, I looked at it and thought, yeah, it's a great story. It's one of those things that ITV look for, isn't it? You imagine the big video package and everything. But as far as a Fred Winter goes, is he really a player? I mean, not for me, but Frankie may disagree. It'd be a lovely story.
Yeah, obviously the weights come out this week for the Festival Handicap, so we need to see what he'd be carrying. He may still go for the Triumph if he tried to aim big, Frankie.
Yeah, he may. I mean, if he did, then that would be a sign as to how good they think he is. And I suppose Caliph de Burley as well. The Nichols team are very excited about him for the future, but I don't think either of them are Cheltenham Festival winners just because that race has come so late in the calendar. Horses for the Boodles or even for the Triumph, you want them always improving. And, to run this weekend, there's not much improvement going to come for the festival, is there? So sounds a weird thing to say for a young horse, but Give Me Five almost looks slightly exposed because he did have to get into a bit of a battle and we probably did see nearly the best of him ahead of the festival. Whereas some horses that have won well back at Christmas time and they haven't been tested, we don't really know the ceiling yet. So it was a great performance and Caliph de Burley is definitely one to watch next year. But
oh yeah,
I don't know. I'd find Give Me Five hard to back, I think, because he was in a race there. I think we saw near his ceiling.
What about for the Triumph then, Bottle Secret, who won at Nation by 11 lengths and obviously into 16-1 for Gavin Cromwell?
Yeah, that's the other end of the spectrum, isn't it? We know nothing about this horse besides he looked quite flashy. And it was a grade 3 race. He did quicken really nicely and put some lengths between himself and the second as well quite quickly. Maybe contradicting myself slightly here, but is it hard to back a horse that we've only seen once over hurdles and in the national hunt sphere? Is obviously a half decent horse before that, but yeah, we don't have loads of evidence, do we? Although he did look good, and if money came for the Cromwell yard, he's certainly been a man to target the right horses at the right races. And if there was someone to have one run with a horse, get him in off a decent enough mark and have a crack, then it'd probably be him. But I don't think there's enough evidence for me to be having a bet.
Would the horse need a bit of giving the ground? That's what I was thinking. I mean, Gavin Cromwell, on 3 interviews I watched this morning, he was quite sheepish about what would happen here, and just watching the race back a couple of times, looked better at every hurdle. And as you say, what, 10 lengths win? I was really impressed. But are we ground dependent here?
Potentially, yeah, potentially.
I mean, that's you know, like Frankie said, we've not seen a lot, but very impressed, very impressed. And again, like we always say, the right man for the job, and he's now taken up to coming over here and mopping up a few easy races. Oh, those English, they think they've got a good one. Look, I'd come over there. I just saw him half fit, I tell you.
You mentioned the ground. I mean, obviously we're only 2 weeks away. We've had so much rain, haven't we? I don't think it take much moisture to get that going on the soft side, or certainly towards deeper side anyway, towards heavy at Cheltenham this year. But hopefully, say it does dry out a little bit. But yeah, it could be ground dependent. What about lump sum? Interesting. Your mate Sam Thomas, Joel, didn't put him in any of the novice hurdles, but he's in 2 handicaps. He's in the County and the Martin Pipe. He's 3 from 4 now, only defeat to Jericho de Repine.
Yep. Thought he was really impressive. There was a little drift as well, a couple of non-runners and a little drift, but did it very easy. I mean, Sam Twiston Davies came out afterwards and was quite self-deprecating of, you know, he wasn't really going, and maybe had him a bit too far back and whatever. I didn't think at any point in that race he wasn't going to win. And I thought, 11-8, he went off something like that. I was really happy with that. And I've backed him for the County this morning, which I'm really happy about. I text Sam Thomas. I don't know if you can see this here. He hasn't told me which race he's going for, but I put, have you got an amateur for the Kinmuir, or do you need me to get a license? He hasn't replied yet. I put Mr. Joel Dominic Ross looks really good. Then I realised, what was the point of asking the question if we're non-runner, no bet? Then I could just back him for both, couldn't I?
Yeah, but he's on the Kinmuir. He's in the Martin Pipe.
Yeah. Sam Twiston Davis was adamant that he was going for the County because he'll get the ride.
Of course, yeah. There is all that to think of. Are you impressed, Frankie?
I was, yeah. We said on the Punters guide that his jumping was an asset, and I really like the way he quickened to finish as well. And to be honest, for a good horse of Ben Pauling's to be in second for such an in-form yard, you could maybe mark the performance up a touch as well, because all of Pauling's horses are running so well. And he had the measure of second, I think, when Ben Jones came and almost tried to have another crack at it. So a good performance. I love the way he jumps, and I love the way he finishes his racing, and he goes on any ground. So he's quite uncomplicated, and that does play into Cheltenham selections because we don't know what the ground will be, and they have got to get up the Cheltenham Hill to finish. So a horse that goes on any ground and finishes his racing off is quite easy to side with, I think. Yeah, he was impressive.
Well, let's move on to the handicap hurdle of stage one, the Pertemps, for the final 2 qualifiers this weekend. We'll come to the Irish one shortly. Classic Concord won the one over here, 3 from 4 now, but he's not entered in the final. But the horse that finishes 4th, sneaking in, is, and that's Monmoral for Paul Nicholls, Sir Alex Ferguson, et al. He had another brilliant weekend. I can't believe, Frankie, you weren't in Riyadh with Sir Alex Pigeon Smugglers.
I know. And did anyone back it? Spirit Dancer?
Well, I'm not being funny. You see Jed Mason. He knocked Alex Ferguson's new state-of-the-art earphones off. There was Fergie sitting there like this, right? And he knocked his little earphones off. And fair play to him, you know. Jed and Alex and Pete, they looked dead happy. But apparently they'd not been given the old Richard Farley nudge. They'll run well, isn't what they said. But fantastic, taking out, coming in, Chloe Luxembourg, obviously, which I backed.
So they were winning the dough in Riyadh, but they must have had an eye on South Wales and Chepstow with this fella.
Yes, he's interesting, isn't he? Actually hasn't won a race, Monmoral, since a Grade 1 hurdle victory, which is just bizarre. Now talking about him for handicaps off of, I don't know, what is he, £10 lower or something than what he got rated that day. So if you talk about that in isolation, you'd say this has got to have a great chance. He's a Grade 1 winner over hurdles. He's down in the weights. He's going for a handicap. But I mean, he just doesn't like winning races, does he? Or he didn't over fences. If you can look past that, he might be for you. I don't know. You'd like to see a horse that at least has shown a bit of zest in the past year or so, and he hasn't really. However, who was riding? Freddie G. Does he keep the ride? Will he have a Cheltenham Festival winner? I'll be with him if so.
I love Freddie. Do we all love Freddie Gordon? Is that right? Is it Freddie Gordon? Freddie Jingle, Freddie Gingle, love him. I made on my notes here that he'd stay up the hill. That's all I mentioned. Doesn't like winning, will stay up the hill. That's what I put.
All right, let's look at the Irish version then, because we had Cleotus Poulor, who's now joint favourite at 7-1. Eye catching second, sticking on, beating 3 lengths, rated 130. Does this all depend on what the British handicapper does? Has Gordon got one here that could be in quite lightly, Joel?
Yes, I really think so. I mean, I was looking at the weights. Was it 10 stone 8 for the second and 9 stone 11 for the winner? Yeah, is that right? Are we looking at that?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, 3.5 lengths between them. Oh, yeah. Is Gordon playing it here? Yeah, maybe. But when we come down to the Pertemps, I think I've got my nap of the weekend. Or of the week rather. But I was really impressed, and I might even play the forecast with this because it was the glint in the eye as well. If you saw any of the interviews afterwards with Gordon about other horses, not so much Langadan, Dan Skelton, lovely jubbly, but it was very much like, see you March.
The found one, yeah. He just looks like that, doesn't he, Frankie?
Yeah, tough horse that's staying on, and you want a horse that's going to put themselves in the mix. You know, if the jockey gets them into a decent enough position and gets them in a race, and they're amongst a couple of horses, they show a bit of fight, they stay on, and sometimes it does just happen for them, doesn't it? And look, if Willie Mullins is the man for a Grade 1, particularly a Grade 1 novice hurdle at the festival, Gordon Elliott's your man for a handicap. Particularly, I always find your 2.5 or 3 milers. He always seems to get these horses pretty tough and winning those longer distance handicaps. So yeah, it's hard to put you off a horse that finished second, giving weight away, trained by Gordon Elliott, and is targeted at a race like this.
And if we're talking about eye catchers, did anyone see Wacker Clan 7th at Naas?
Is that Langadan's brother?
Yeah, Langadan's brother. Yeah, Wacker Clan. Genuinely, it may be. Going to the Kim Muir, I believe. Have a little look at that. 1 from 1 at Cheltenham. Finished 7th at Naas at the weekend. So have a little look at that one. That was that went into my eye catcher.
The tracker. Right then, talking handicap chases, have a quick look at the Ultima then, because I want to look at this race. I've already put up Ante poster. I do like Ante Classico. His form kind of got franked to the weekend with Phlegmatic, running okay on ground. I think there was certainly soft enough for him. It was probably one of the races of the festival last year, bearing in mind it threw up the Grand National winner and a dual Grade 1 winner. And in third was Monbeg Genius, who was fancied for all the big staying races. And in fourth was the Goffer, who won the other day, and his favourite this year, Joel.
Yeah, I can absolutely BS here to you now because I did a good hour on the Ultima this morning. I left all my notes downstairs. So, yeah. So, the Goffer, I very much liked. Frankie, what you got? And I'll just try and find it.
You go searching for your notes, Joel. If not, don't worry. There's always next week in the studio. Don't forget him for that. The Goffer, yeah, probably that's arguably the best handicap top 3 of all time, isn't it? A Correct Rambler, Fast or Slow, and Monbeg Genius. Yeah. You'd struggle to find or finish behind 3 horses in a handicap that would go on to better things. Or Monbeg Genius maybe hasn't quite got there yet, but he was third in a Hennessy and has been fancied for all of these sorts of races. And to be honest, it comes with a chance if he was to run it again. But yeah, the Goffer, you'd have to give a chance based off of what he finished behind last year and what they've gone on to do, but don't need me to tell you that at the top of the market. Chamblou was the shout I gave up last week, which I was pleased to see Dan Skelton talk about at the Grand National weights evening or day. But Joel probably got told as well, actually. He just can't remember either. But I'm quite with Chamblou. I thought he'd be shorter, to be honest. He's in the kind of 20s, I think, or around that sort of mark. And look, he was rated in the 150s as a 3 miler a while ago before having his issues. but he looked like he was back towards his best last time. And as I mentioned previously, he finished third in a really classy handicap, 3 under 3-5, won it. The Rapper second, Victorino in fourth. So three horses that are all towards the top end of handicaps, and I think he's got some improvement in him. So that's where I'm looking at the moment.
Yeah, Shan Blue. I mean, Dan Skelton has said before, they just along the lines of, if it's a big price, don't let that put you off. It's not like I think that people think, like I do, with all JP horses, all Dan Skelton horses, if the money comes, they're going to run better. But you've seen him pop up so many times at an unfancied price, and not all at the back like Langadam. And the Goffel won a charity race. Was it last week? I mean, I know that means nothing, but we know it's fit and alive. And I
quite a sneaky way to quite a sneaky one to get a run into on that, isn't it?
On,
Well, it's good, isn't it? It's like normally you'd have one at Dundalk, wouldn't you, or whatever? Just have a little look around there. I nearly put Shake 'em Up Harry for this up last week at 33s. I think he's into like 16s or something now. One on New Year's Day at Cheltenham when I was there. You know, Monbeg Genius. You know, you're probably the man, Mac, to know about this.
Got to win a race. Got to win a big race.
Yeah, but it's got to win a big race. It's got to win a big race.
I will do. I'll catch up with John. So we'll have John's Junior the track every single day as well. I'll hear from him on my genius on the opening day. But yeah,
don't start asking about all your weird questions. Right, Monbeg Genius. It's got to win a big race. When is it? Let us know. Wink. Then turn the camera on and do all your wait for age crap.
If it's not Cheltenham, maybe it could be Aintree over the big fences.
Well, don't say it like that. That's a little bit like, you know, you've been up to.
Interesting. It's one race the Irish got a really bad record in, though, isn't it? 2006 last Irish train win.
I mean, the Ultima Handicap. There's bigger maidens in Ireland and France that are worth 17 times more. It's a hard race to win, and probably it will only be the second or third race that the Brits will win this year, I believe.
Well, we might win the champion hurdle straight after it as well, so we could be 2-2.
Yeah, we could win one day, maybe. Yeah.
Cash out. 2-2. Cash out.
Right. I also want to talk about the Coral Cup, and I've just written 2 words down. Away you go, Joel. Langadam.
Langer and Dan. Getting a lot of stick. Do you remember when it's at the Imperial Cup, the first year they got that horse well handicapped? And you go, that's a really great achievement. Since then, you're either on or you're not on. If you're on and it wins, quid's in. If you're not on and it wins, racing's bent and whatever. I mean, that's, you know, it's transparency nowadays in 2024, isn't it? Because there's no way you could win. Was it a 5 horse race at Exeter? Was it a 0 to 140 or something like that? Finishes off 20 lengths tailed off, beaten by a 125 horse or something. You know, we can put the questions out there. We can get the answers. It's got bad wind. It's a seasonal horse. It's got, we've been through it a million times. It's hard to train. It's had, you know, sepsema, sepsis, seponema, you know, whatever, all these things. But we're just getting it well handicapped. So you're either on or you're not on. It's no Tony Martin thing, isn't it? You know,
Are you on?
But this is to the open eye. The open eye is looking at it and going, you either on and you go, I'm in, or you're not, and you stay away. It's the old days of a Barney Curly horse or a Tony Martin horse or one of those Des Donovan horses or whatever it is. You're either in or you're not in. And if you look at it on form, not a shout.
They've also got Nurse Susan potentially in there as well. I mean, go elsewhere, but that's on a hat-trick in the same silks as Langadam.
I'll give him a nice bit of cover.
You put the white cap on.
Yeah. It was just look at it. Some of these old races like this where the gambles were landed, and the same ownership or the same trainer was in the race, and you know it would open up like the Red Sea, and you just go woo straight there.
There's your back Langadang and lay Nurse Susan, and we'll be fine.
Yeah. Too right. All day long.
Obviously, Willie's got one in. So Majest as well. He's been talking about beat Noble Yates at Limerick. Only seen him once this year in the JP Silks. I mean, look, it's a wide open contest. But it was just worth mentioning Langadam. Frankie, any early thoughts?
Ante, who I backed at the Dublin Racing Festival. We'll go here, or am I getting muddled
He's
up?
going to go to the county, I think.
County, sorry. Yeah, county. Sorry, I'm one step ahead. Lucky Place, I thought maybe is worth a shout. Yeah, Ante will speak about it in a sec. Lucky Place, second to Gidley Park at Cheltenham. I think coming into these races, if you've got a bit of course and distance form up your sleeve, that's always helpful. And behind a horse like Gidley Park, who's big and tough, and they got into a bit of a battle, is no bad bit of form. 5 lengths or so clear of third. Gave lots of punters a scare, I think, because that was the last race of the day, and Gidley Park was an even money shot to get out of jail. But yeah, Lucky Place with the CND form was of note. I haven't really got stuck into this race yet. Dolly the Great's also jotted down, but I don't know where he will run. Nicky Henderson said he was a bit of a dark horse if he got him into the right race. Another horse that's had his injury struggles and has probably still got some improvement in him, but might not be here, might be the Might Pipe.
And if Langadam tips up or something goes wrong or whatever, if he's not going, first 3 obstacles, I don't think they'll give him a hard time. I think he'll go straight to entry, and that's where we'll get the money back, like we did a couple of years ago. You know what I mean? It's all mapped out, isn't it? And it's an easy one. Some people hate it, some people love it. I personally love it, and also because it's British. If it was the Irish, they wouldn't be able to get away with it over here, I don't think. Apart from Gavin Cromwell every week.
Nicky Henderson's got a good record in it. I think it's 3 wins in the last decade. But just a quick chat on his stable form. 6 of his last 7 runners have been pulled up.
Yeah.
7 of his last 10.
Yeah, but this is the time now, isn't it? That the 3 weeks before we start getting into it, and you go, bang out of form. Like Venetia's bang out of form, yeah, and it's not her time of year anyway. But for Henderson, just to creep there, up to the festival. If you start seeing him banging a few in before then, the ones that aren't going to the festival, that's when you look at it. I mean, he's got to have them fit and ripe. It's not like he's not like a young trainer who doesn't know what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. It just depends if he's got the ammunition. Now we hear he's got a good young horse called Constitution Hill, which we may see in the next couple of years, and may run at Cheltenham.
We hope. I just make a note on the festival special as well. Paul Townend 4-11 top jockey, Winnie Mullins 1-8 top trainer. Is there any point in even looking elsewhere in those markets?
Well, yeah. Yes, but you might be a mug. You ain't back. You can back the Mullins at 1-8 if you're having your 80 grand on. Good luck with that. But as far as the jockey goes, what happens, in the second, third race if Paul takes a fall? So when you look at the jockeys, I always look down and think, right, okay. So let's have a look. What you got? Paul Townend 4-11. Jack Kennedy, what's he? 5s?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So all you're looking for is injuries. The only way Paul Townend gets beat is if he falls off one and gets set down for the day or the rest of the week or something. That's what you're looking at, and that's not like you're backing a 4-11 shot and the horse falls or he's pulled up or whatever. It's a really, really interesting market.
Nico at 10s would be my shout.
Say again?
Nico at 10s would be my shout if you were being optimistic that something went not that you want I'm not talking about an injury, but if just things didn't happen for Paul Townend. But the difference, in my opinion, Jack Kennedy will have obviously lots of good rides and also lots of good riders in handicaps, but they're kind of tricky ones to win. Nico's got a few decent ones in the grade ones that if they go well and you get on a roll, then that can kind of transfer into other rides as well, I think. So yeah, I think he's overpriced
because he's got the JP runners and he'll be in handicaps and grade ones.
Yeah.
But all right, okay.
It's a fair shot.
Cobden's at 25-1. Is he going Sedgefield to get the jockey's title? Is he? Who knows? 25s. But if one of your top jocks gets injured, and Cobden's sitting there with Paul Nicholls not really having a runner, is he not them? I mean, him and Jack Kennedy are the best 2 jockeys either side of the Irish Sea. You know what I mean? So if he's sitting there and one of your jockey gets injured, you got Harry Cobden sitting there playing Tetris, you got to have him, aren't you?
Right, let's crack on.
To be fair, we're spending 5 minutes on a market that nobody's going to bet on. I mean, how much you take on this? If you set more than 70 quid on this market,
Right, let's crack on because Frankie's got that suit back in Topshop in 10 minutes. Right, some of the punters' thoughts as well. You've emailed into Frankie. Thanks for these. Ross _Abe says, Noble Yates, Cheltenham Grand National double.
Big shout. Big old shout.
Yeah.
Stayers Hurdle Grand National Double.
Not
Not for me.
That's
Not for me.
out the ballpark, isn't it?
Nah, but hey, I tell you
I
what,
mean,
put him
it's a
right, Ron.
fancy price, but
Yeah,
not for me.
put him right. Manila Indo, cross country, and Grand National.
All right. MW Jones says Flooring Porter. Now,
Can't have that at all.
but
No,
with
can't have.
murmurs him coming back for the Stayers Hurdle.
That's why I can't have him. If you've got a horse that you're unsure where he goes and
Yeah.
was disappointing over fences, and now you try and retarget him for Cheltenham in what's quite a hot division, and he hasn't been winning at the last, was it last year and the year before they didn't win? I can't remember when he last won one, but yeah, a horse that you're unsure of where to go at this time can't be a winner for me.
Messed with that horse's head, I tell you. They've messed with his head. Messed with his head. All right, gone mantle.
B. Hellwood _ says Il Atlantique in the Baron Bingham. Now, obviously, he was just behind
Yes.
in the Lawlers of Nace, wasn't he? He's an interesting one. Tony Bloom.
Willie Mullins Domination. I think they're probably all three favourites, but Ballyburn Supreme, Il Atlantique, Baring Bingham, and Reading Tommy Wrong, Albert Bartlett. Oof, imagine that. We'd all give up, wouldn't we? There'd be uproar. Willie Mullins, he's taken over the show. It's uncompetitive. He's won all 3 novice hurdles with the favourite. I think it could happen. I like Il Atlantique for the Bingham. I do.
And also Tony Bloom, bless him. You know, he needs a few quid. I mean, what a businessman. He's essentially selling me and you, Matt. Me and you've been playing, you know, at Brighton. He flogged us abroad for 90 million quid a piece, and we're not even very good.
Look forward to the reporting of him having £3 million on it from a certain bookmaker.
Oh.
D-Molly 12, Mighty Shishkin. Discuss.
Ooh, that's Dom, mate of mine. You've got to be mad to back Shishkin. I think it's a personality trait, isn't it, backing Shishkin now? Are you mad enough?
Joel?
What I wouldn't touch it with the barge pole, but I can see it closing in. No, I can see it. Yeah, I'm mad enough. Seeing it in closing 3 out and going, oh, he's going to do it, and he's going to do it. I just don't think it'll get there.
Nico de Boinville overtakes Paul Townend as top jockey as Shishkin goes past Galloping des Champs.
I'm still backing Fast or Slow anyway. Fast or Slow with a run under its belt. Here you are. Reverses that form.
Right. So
we'll have that next week.
Star Wars Realism says Sergino Triumph, Fast or Slow Gold Cup, and Delta Work Cross Country in a treble, or Not So Sleepy each with a champion, which is absolute filth. Trying to get that only horse, probably 3 runners, getting the third when we're playing 3 places each way. But he's only about 20-1 now. I mean, 20-1 Not So Sleepy to win a champion hurdle.
No chance. That is bonkers.
I know it's mad, but obviously the place element. That's obviously why it is so short.
As old as Joel.
Oh, tell you, don't.
Not to half past 2. Talk about Not So Sleepy.
Yeah, and sleepy, yeah.
Yeah, too right. Not so sleepy. Absolutely knackered. That's what I'd be saying. Absolutely knackered.
James Randall 98 says, give me 5 boodles each way, £5 each way. We just talked about that, didn't we?
Yeah, none of us were enthused, were we?
But go back treble, by the way. Go back.
The treble is a bit more exciting.
Yeah,
Did you know Triumph?
What?
Did you know Triumph?
Yes.
Fast or Slow Gold Cup?
Yes.
Delta Work Cross Country?
No, but I'll let him do.
There we go. Okay. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Somebody sung that, didn't
they? He's dead.
Right. Before we do say cheerio, then one final one from our punters. CW_NCFC, Newcastle fan maybe. Frankie, Zent in the county.
Oh, yes, can get on board with that. I backed her at the DRF. She was a grade 1 winner. I thought, here we go. She's in a handicap. She can progress onwards and, was given a bit more to do than I'd have liked when my money was on anyway, which didn't bode well that day because she finished 3rd. But it does bode well now going to the festival. The old white cat just weaving through runners, ridden a little bit more prominently. I think could be in with a good chance.
Yeah, taking the handicaps. Right. That'll move us on then to our penultimate anti-post picks for our portfolio. Our 8th and penultimate ones, the final one coming up next week when we're all together in the studio. I'll let you go first, Frankie, because I think this will lead on nicely.
Well, I might change. Am I allowed to change? Am I too late to change?
Oh, no. Because we just talked about Zenta. I thought that's where you were going. That was my link. You've knackered me up.
I have, but not quite because it's another white cap in another handicap. Milan Tino for the Boodles. We're looking for the JP double, Milantino and Zenta. A horse that's been disappointing, but it's no bad thing when you're going to have a crack at the handicap if you haven't quite done what you were supposed to yet, whilst running at Cheltenham twice in the Triumph trials and is not, I don't think, going to the Triumph. So a horse that was very exciting over in France, has ran at Cheltenham twice in those trials for the Triumph behind good horses. Sergino won one and Burdett Road won the other.
Comes
off a bit of a low mark as a result of being, arguably disappointing. And if we see a change of form in March, could be him with the right chance.
Okay, Martina and the Boodles 9-1. Could be John Jr.'s ride as well. You've also knackered up because that is 9-1. Joel, what's your tip?
Oh, yeah, you were going for the.
I'm going for 2027 Cave de Burley Gold Cup. If you give me a price on that, I'll tell you. As soon as the horse gets a fence, love that. I'm going for Pertemps White Rhino for Ollie Greenall and Eddie Guerrero. 3 miles at Cheltenham, won. It's had 2 runs at Cheltenham on it. It should have won in the conditional jockey's handicap, shorter room twice. American Sniper was back in second there, and won the handicap hurdle on the 15th. Beat Bold Endeavour by over 2 lengths. Travelled like a dream. I think there's a tiny little bit of juice left in White Rhino. It's a lovely, lovely big horse. And for the Pertemps at around 16-1, you're probably going to bash me right down here and say it's 10-1 now. No runner, no bet, which I'll take, to be fair, because might not go as take your insurance. So White Rhino in the Pertemps for me.
I was very lucky to be at the yard last week seeing White Rhino, talking all about it.
Come on then.
He is absolutely massive. They were absolutely thrilled with him at Huntingdon.
Do you know what? I bet he was standing there. And that Matt Humes, he's massive. When I watch his show, he doesn't look that big on the TV, but I tell you what, he's massive.
What was that all about?
That's me off.
He's a gentle giant. He's so docile. He's absolutely gorgeous, lackadaisical thing, but he stays.
There you go.
He gallops. They were really happy with Huntingdon. Wouldn't have been his track on ground quick enough, tight turning track, sharp track. They are really looking forward to getting him out. He's that big, he will not mind the hurdy-burdy of a big handicap either. And he's been proving it. So, yeah, he's got a huge chance. And I look forward to going there on the day. I went for another 10-1 shot. And it's a horse that had a big profile when he won last time out, and I thought they'd heard lots about him. And then he had a bit of a setback. I've heard nothing about him. It was a Nicky Henderson runner in the Albert Bartlett called Shanna Bob. And that Cheltenham race has worked out really well. He had Destroyed the Evidence in second, who's been second again since, behind Kerry Hill, who was back in fourth. Moon Durand was third. He won at Market Raisin as well the other day. It just looked like a really warm race. And he was still clueless. Absolutely clueless, really green. Untold improvement still to come, and I think he's going to be a massive player. I'm surprised he's 10-1. We heard from Nick Henderson last week. He said he's back over his problems. They're looking forward to Cheltenham with him. I think he goes off much shorter, especially if Nick Henderson has a decent festival leading up to it. So, yeah, Shanna Bob, 10-1 in the Albert Bartlett. They are our 3 final anti-post picks. Right.
And I'm not taking the make about fish cakes and monkfish and whatever. Where does monkfish go at Cheltenham?
Well, Willie Mullins trains him.
Yeah, it could be anywhere.
Yeah, but
don't know.
Pertemps Hurdle, maybe?
Yeah. That's a random shout to finish off with a Nick Henderson negative for Sergino backers. Was told from the media day he was of the most nervous of all of those horses that came out, and was the worst behaved and a bit jumpy, maybe for a horse that's going to run on a Gold Cup day at Cheltenham.
Well, that's great. I've lumped on 8-11. I'm really happy about that, Nicky. Thank you very much.
That was an interesting point. I mean, he's been there at Cheltenham, hasn't he? He's been there.
He has. But
we'll know be anywhere near as busy as it was, as it will be on Gold Cup day. Right, let's let Frankie get to his swanky awards do. They can get his suit back. Joel can go and get some sleep and clean his top. And join us next week. Our final Road to Cheltenham show then. We'll all be together in the studio. We'll wrap up all the big talking points. We'll look ahead, of course, to all the main races. And we'll give you a lucky 15 as well and our 9th and final anti-post pick for this year's festival. Like, subscribe. Don't forget the Punters Guide at the weekend. Newbury and Kelso to look forward to. Very few festival clues coming from those two meetings, though they'll be looking up towards the other spring festivals. But make sure you join us, as I say, next Monday, our final Road to Cheltenham show.